You can. So, on our practice here with rational numbers, again, you can see that then check your answer with the T-check has been crossed off, so you don't have to do that, but that's what these T's are here for. I'm going to start on number 2, so join me on number 2. Even though they deal with fractions, it's okay. I don't have my smart board in front of me, so I'm going to have to use my pens to find the side that has the variable on it. Once you find that, cover it on up. And if there's anything else on that side, that's what we have to start with. So you and I are going to start with getting rid of this 2/3. So please add a negative 2/3 to both sides. Fractions. We can't just add these. Can't just make them a negative 1/9. They need to have a common denominator. 12, 18, they all work, but I'm going to take 3 times 2, because 3 times 2 gives me 6. So that's where my negative 4/6 comes into play. So now I'm going to add these. Again, mental math or calculator approved. Be very careful. Wow. At the time of the recording here, I did make a mistake in 1 hour, and I said 1 plus negative 4 was a negative 4. Oops. Again, quick mistake, so that's going to get me the wrong answer at the end. So I'm left with a negative 3/6, which for today, as I'm recording, I'm just going to leave that. If you want to simplify that, you guys can. But I'm just going to leave it because we're not done yet. So I'm just working on our equation. Until we're done, then we'll have to make sure our fraction's in simplest form. Now, we're familiar with the negative 3/4. Since it's touching the end, they're currently timesing. So to get rid of them, normally we would divide. But since I don't have my since I don't have my magic pen on my board, if you are dividing by a fraction or with a fraction, erase it. In this case, I'm going to scribble it out. We need to multiply by the reciprocal, by the flip. So flip it. So instead of 3 on top, put the 4 on top. Notice though, since this was a negative 3/4, make this guy negative. You need to multiply both sides by that same number. We're doing that because as you cross cancel, the 3's cancel. The negative and the 4's cancel. Sweet. We're left with just m. And then again, you can do the fraction dance where you can take the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. However, I want to practice cross canceling. Since they're both even, please cross them off. But note, when you divide negative 4 by 2, don't lose the negative sign. Make sure that negative 2 stays there. Cross canceling between the 3's, you get 1, but on the top, that's a negative 1. So don't lose that. So when you take the top times the top, you now get a positive 2. And the bottom times the bottom, you get a positive 3. And as I mentioned, right now I'm not going to make you check it, although that'd be great math to come on up here and practice multiplying fractions and then finding common denominators and adding them, but we'll just move on. Slide over to number 1. Since it's written in front of you, you don't have to write it down, but once you see it, please switch it to adding the opposite. You don't need to put a little parenthesis there, but I'm going to put it there because as I'm making the video, sometimes it can look like an 11, but it's not. Find the side with the variable. I found it! Nice. So from there then, cover up the variable. If there's anything on this side, that's what we start with. So start by getting rid of adding a negative 1 3/10, a negative 1.3. To do that, add a positive 1.3 on both sides. Notice if you're using mental math, stack those decimals. But by all means, feel free to use a calculator. We did that because now we've isolated the 1.3n, or 1 3/10 n. Solve that guy by dividing. Because they're currently touching. Ooh, not the n, excuse me. Divide by 1.3. Because they're currently touching and timesing. To get rid of multiplication, you divide. We're left with n. And now if you get a long decimal, we've done something wrong here. So if you've done that wrong, go back and check. Did you take the top divided by the bottom? That's one mistake that might have happened where we switched those numbers around. The top divided by the bottom is going to give us a negative 9. If you did that correct, then go back and take a look. Perhaps you did some mental math wrong somewhere. I've been known to do that and did do that already while recording these. And then I want to do one word problem. The common one today has been number 9. So go to the back. Number 9, there's 2 ways to set up this equation. Do note, the instructions do say to write an equation, so that's technically worth a point usually. It's also an instruction to do. It's also helpful because that's part of our scale on 7EE4, so write equations. That's what this blank is for. You can write it 2 different ways. You can write it by starting with your total amount, the amount of money you have, or the amount the bill is, or you can start with how much money is being charged to you. So I'm going to start it that way. Please circle up $132.49. That is something that's being charged to you or that you have to pay for. And as you read, it says the shop charges you $15 per board. So that's something else you're being charged. One of these needs a variable. Whichever one's happening over and over and over again, or multiple times, or each minute, or each day, or this thing right here, this word per, a little life hack, this per tells you that this is happening over and over again. That means, since we're getting charged $15 per board, the 15 needs a variable. I'm going to choose X because S with skateboard does not look good, and B with board sometimes also looks like a 6, so I'll stay away from those numbers. Since we're being charged for the $132.49 worth of wheels and bearings, add that together with it. If there's anything else you're getting charged, add that in. Otherwise, that's going to be your total. That's going to be what we want to see, how much money, how many times we can do that with the money we have. In this case, we're told not how much money we have, but how much the total is. So you've written an equation. That's what you're supposed to do. So, good. You were told to do that. Reason number 1 to do it. Number 2, it's worth a point if I'm grading on that style with a worksheet or a quiz. Number 3, it's helpful for us to practice our 7EE4. But number 4, maybe more importantly, by writing the equation, we can now solve. Just like before, fractions, decimals, integers, it doesn't matter. Find the side with the variable. Whatever side's got the variable, focus on that side. Cover up the variable. If there's anything with it, start with that guy. So we're going to add $132.49, Since it's positive, I'm going to add a negative. I'm going to do that on both sides. Yes, you could just subtract, but I'm going to stick with my adding the opposite. Again, we did that because these guys cancel. What's left on the left side? Write it on down. 15x. If you're going to use mental math, stack up the decimals. Otherwise, by all means, feel free to use a calculator to add those together. From there, go back to the variable. The 15 and the x are touching, so they're currently timesing. To get rid of them, to get rid of multiplying, divide. Always start here on this side with the variable. Because since you're dividing the left side by 15, divide the right side by 15. X equals 4. Though on a skill-aligned assessment, currently I do not grade on labels and cannot. If this is a quiz or worksheet, I do. So is this 4 inches of snow, 4 students gone, $4, 4 hours, 4 people, 4 Toblerone bars? Yummy. 4 blizzards from Dairy Queen? Nope. This one again, X was up here with the per board. So whether you want to say board or skateboard, that works. And again, on a normal quiz, on a worksheet that I'm grading for points, that is a point. We do need that label. So, other than that, 2-step equations. Write out the equation, solve it, make sure you're showing the work on every step. Can't make the answer magically appear.